Young Dolph's death shocked everyone who knew him. He was shopping at his favorite bakery when his ops pulled up and wasted him. The police immediately jumped on his case to get to the bottom of his murder. Months later, they haven't just arrested one, but up to 5 suspects. But the case isn't as cut and dry as it seems. With each passing day, the court continues to reveal shocking details about Young Dolph's killers, peeling back the layers of this complex case. Here's what they are saying. Court uncovers the orchestrator. When police went on a countrywide manhunt for Justin Johnson, it almost seemed like they had found their culprit. Hundreds of leads were used to chase him down to Indiana and catch him.
Law enforcement received hundreds of tips and leads, which led to the cross-country manhunt and capture of one suspect, the charging of another suspect locally, and potentially more arrests.
But little did we know that Johnson was just the tip of the iceberg. He was nothing but a pawn in the hands of the mastermind, Hernandez Govan. Apparently, Hernandez Govan had lived so close to the scene of the crime and had connections to the other killers. These are images of this now infamous white Mercedes, the getaway car used in Young Dolph's murder at Makeda's Cookies. The car was found outside this abandoned home on Bradley Street days after the killing. But this is where it gets a bit interesting. This abandoned home is the same home seen in this music video featuring Young Dolph's accused killer, Justin Johnson, also known as Straight Drop. But here's where Govan's connection to the suspects gets really strong.
Records show 43-year-old Hernandez Govan, who was just indicted in the rap star slaying, along with Johnson and Cornelia Smith, once lived just a few houses down. Neighbors fearing for their lives told us off camera he grew up on the street.
And the DA is convinced that Govan was the brains behind the madness that was Young Dolph's murder.
Sure, Govan has been indicted and is in custody for being involved in the Young Dolph murder. He played the role of the person who solicited the murder.
But Govan's criminal history didn't just start with his alleged connection with Dolph's murder. Nope, my guy's been collecting charges like infinity stones for a long time. His criminal history, dating back 2 decades, has involved drugs, weapons, and assault charges. However, right now he's being charged with first-degree murder, attempted first-degree murder, and conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. So now that you know, Govan is seen as allegedly the mastermind behind the attack on Young Dolph. Here is a rundown of what may have happened that night. The 17th of November was like any other day, but in a sad chain of events, it turned that day black. This heart-wrenching incident unfolded near Young Dolph's childhood home in Memphis. The incident, captured on distressing surveillance footage, painted a devastating picture of the rapper's untimely demise. The footage revealed the arrival of 2 masked gunmen, stealthily maneuvering in a stolen white Mercedes-Benz. Their intentions were violent as they swiftly approached Dolph's custom camouflage Corvette parked at the back. Once in position, they unleashed a relentless storm of bullets toward the unsuspecting rapper, who at that very moment was innocently browsing inside a store. The aftermath, as revealed in the subsequent autopsy, was nothing short of tragic. Dolph had sustained an astonishing 22 gunshot wounds, each serving as a heartbreaking testament to the ruthless violence unfolding. In a cruel twist of fate, the Memphis police responded to the distress call within a mere 5 minutes. However, by the time they arrived, it was already too late. Dolph, this vibrant and talented rapper whose life had held so much promise, was pronounced dead at 12:39 p.m. His journey cut tragically short while engaged in a simple act of shopping at Makeda's Cookies, a place he held dear to his heart.
Take a look. These are the new photos released by the Memphis Police Department. Surveillance photos show 2 people jumping out of a white car armed with guns. The suspects, were told, approached Young Dolph while he was inside the cookie store and fired shots.
In light of the situation, Tennessee House Representative London Lamar and Councilman J.B. Smiley called for a curfew, aiming to prevent any potential conflicts or violence. Amidst the overwhelming sadness, artists from the music industry expressed their condolences and paid tribute to Dolph. Chance the Rapper took to Twitter, posting a heartfelt message that read, "God bless Dolph, real independent Memphis rapper born in Chicago, loved by millions of people, always showed love every time I seen him. This is tragic. God bless his family, man." Even Megan Thee Stallion, who had previously collaborated with the late rapper, expressed her shock and grief, saying, "I am so sick right now I am in disbelief, praying for his family and friends. Rest in peace to my friend, a true legend, Dolph." 13 days after his passing, Young Dolph's funeral took place at First Baptist Church on Broad Street. With Memphis police and security personnel trailing behind, the family's gloomy-colored SUVs made their way to the burial ground opposite Hamilton High School, the very school Dolph had attended. Now remember, we had told you that the shooting occurred at this house, and this was where the gateway car was found, the same house that was just mere streets away from where Govan lived. So it's very plausible that Govan had helped the 2 killers that shot Dolph run away from the crime scene and hide. He would only do that if he he were involved in the crime way before it happened. This crime would really be the undoing of Govind because not only was he arrested, he lost his daughter. After her death, he went online and blamed himself in a cryptic post. Govind feels he cursed his daughter with his lifestyle. However, the house and car aren't even the strongest link between Govind and the rest of the killers. It's the Trilla Mafia. Okay, I should expect that at this point. You ask me, what's Trilla Mafia and how does it concern Govind, Dolph, and his other suspects? Well, it goes quite deep into the Trilla Mafia versus Paper Route Empire. The Trilla Mafia isn't some small gang that just does small crimes. Nope, they plan elaborate schemes, but ultimately they play by the same street rules of kill or be killed. But we'll get into that soon. Currently, the police have named Hernandez Govind, Justin Johnson, Cornelia Smith, Jamarcus Johnson, and Shundell Barnett as all suspects. And get this, all of them have had connections with the Trilla Mafia. In fact, even Joshua Taylor, who was a person of interest in the case, was allegedly the boss of the Trilla Mafia. At the same time, Cornelia Smith and Justin Johnson were the people who were sent to actualize the hit. Nevertheless, here's where it may have all started. Back in 2010, young Dolph took a significant step in his career by establishing his own record label, Paper Route Empire. It was an exciting venture for him, allowing him to forge his path and support artists who shared his vision. One of the notable additions to the label in 2017 was Key Glock, a talented rapper who also happened to be Dolph's cousin through marriage. Now, you might think that signing Key Glock was a simple family favor, but let me tell you, Key Glock possesses genuine talent. His skills as a rapper are unquestionable, and he brings a unique flavor to the industry. However, this signing didn't come without its complications. It seems that the inclusion of Key Glock and some of the young affiliated rappers in Paper Route Empire created some friction with the Trilla Mafia, another group within the music scene. Serious conflicts arose between the two factions, and tensions escalated due to these affiliations. In hindsight, it appears that Dolph may not have fully considered the potential consequences of signing these artists. When he made the decision, he was primarily focused on the business aspect, overlooking the beef and street problems that these individuals might bring along with them. He failed to consider the street perspective, which proved to be a crucial oversight. In the world of music, when conflicts emerge with an artist like Key Glock, the responsibility falls on the person who signed them, in this case, young Dolph. The Trilla Mafia capitalized on this vulnerability, directing their animosity towards Dolph himself. Whether it happened before or after Dolph's tragic death, they targeted him by snatching the Paper Route Empire chains. In the realm of hip-hop, this act symbolizes the utmost level of disrespect and challenges one's reputation. It's worth noting that the act of seizing chains from rappers has occurred throughout history, an unfortunate display of power and dominance in the industry. These incidents serve as reminders of the turbulent nature of the music world and the complexities that artists often face beyond their artistic pursuits. But if you doubt the beef and significance of the chains, take a look at these photos. Here's a picture of Justin Johnson, aka Straight Drop, rocking a Paper Route Empire chain. Johnson has been arrested for the murder of young Dolph. Here's another of JoJo wearing the Paper Route Empire chain. Fans initially thought JoJo was responsible for shooting Dolph. And here's a picture of CEO Bobby rocking the Paper Route Empire chain. Now, unlike Straight Drop, CEO Bobby and JoJo don't have a legal connection to the murder of young Dolph, as they've not been named suspects. But here's where it gets a bit interesting. CEO Bobby, aka Joshua Hewlett, has been arrested before after a shootout and car chase with the police. But word on the street was that the police were going to use that arrest to get a connection to the young Dolph case. Whether it worked or not is left to be seen. However, what was interesting was that he was allegedly seen in the same white Mercedes-Benz used as a gateway car for the Dolph murder, the same car that Cornelia Smith was arrested for stealing just for the murder. However, this was just the tip of the iceberg. There was still more to be uncovered. The real mastermind uncovered. One of the most damning evidence against Govind has been the connection between him and Yo Gotti, a known op of young Dolph. But I'll get into that in a bit. What got people talking was that Govind has been seen with Big Jook, Yo Gotti's brother, and now tongues are wagging.
Yo Gotti brother was just with young Dolph Killer on Tuesday. Look at it right here. That's Govind and Yo Gotti brother.
But that's just the tip of the iceberg. Watch this.
That Lil Flip was just with Govind the other day. Because if y'all don't know, Govind is Whole Lotta Desto father. Whole Lotta Desto just died. You got Govind with Lil Uzi Vert and Lil Flip.
You may be wondering what the connection is. Well, for one, Hernandez Govind being affiliated with Lil Flip shows how known he is. Lil Flip is something of an underground legend, but Govind's connection to Yo Gotti didn't just stop there. There's a video that allegedly shows Govind at Yo Gotti's restaurant, a restaurant that Big Jook himself is known to go to. Word is that Big Jook put a hit on young Dolph.
Hey man, look bro, my Jook put a $40,000 hit on you, bro. Like,
Man, come on, bro.
That was a video of Groove Hero alleging that Big Jook had put a $40,000 hit on Young Dolph. All this did was increase the suspicions that Yo Gotti had something to do with the death of Dolph. Now, you already know that Trella Mafia had beef with Young Dolph and that all the suspects arrested were in fact connected to Trella Mafia in one way or another. For instance, Joshua Taylor, aka CEO Teezy, was a leader in the Trella Mafia gang. Knowing this, it's not shocking that he was taken out. In the streets, shots are fired at the head to hurt the body, and sometimes they are fired directly at the body. That being said, Young Dolph's affiliations have not been taking his death lightly. On the night that it was confirmed he died, the streets of Memphis felt it, and law enforcement was ready to impose a curfew.
Several public officials calling for a curfew tonight, fearing acts of retaliation in certain parts of the city after Young Dolph is shot and killed.
You may have thought they were being dramatic about it, but from all indications, they were right, because 3 people linked to his murder ended up being attacked directly or indirectly. They were Joshua Taylor, Big Newski, and Lotta Cash Desto, Hernandez Govin's own daughter. First, I'll talk about Joshua Taylor.
We've been told by Memphis police that a high-profile gang member was killed in a shooting in Orange Mound this afternoon. This is according to family members who tell us Joshua Taylor was named a person of interest in the Young Dolph murder case back in February of 2022.
Tragedy struck on a fateful Wednesday afternoon when Joshua Taylor fell victim to a fatal shooting, according to accounts shared by his family members. The somber scene unfolded as police were called to Sportwood Avenue and discovered Taylor's lifeless body inside a car, a victim of the senseless violence. Interestingly, prior to this heartbreaking incident, Joshua Taylor, also known as CEO Teezy, had gained attention as he was named a person of interest in the murder case of Young Dolph back in February 2022. Furthermore, he had outstanding warrants linked to various charges, including theft of high-value property and possession of a prohibited weapon. The question that loomed in the air was, why was Joshua Taylor considered a person of interest in Young Dolph's murder? The unsettling truth emerged when it was revealed that Taylor had some connection to Justin Johnson, one of the individuals accused of being involved in Dolph's tragic demise. While Joshua Taylor was never directly charged in relation to Dolph's murder and hadn't been publicly associated with the case, investigators were keen to uncover any potential information that could shed light on the tragic event. The police were determined to leave no stone unturned in their pursuit of justice. Unfortunately, the powers that be got to him first. Now I'll go into detail about the death of Big Newski, but unlike CEO Teezy, his death is not cut and dry. His connection to Young Dolph's death is more complex. Let me explain. Big Newski, also known as rapper Big Dirty, met a tragic and untimely demise after unknowingly sharing his location on Instagram. This shocking news stirred up a whirlwind of speculation and inquiries about his connections, affiliations, and the circumstances surrounding his unfortunate death. It's worth noting that Big Newski had some intriguing associations that caught people's attention. Not only was he a talented artist, but he also happened to be the cousin of rapper Big 30. He was also the artist under Moneybagg Yo's wing. In fact, he even played a role in Moneybagg Yo's creative crew. This connection led to his involvement with CMG, a prominent music label linked to Yo Gotti, someone well known in opposition to Young Dolph. Interestingly enough, Yo Gotti featured Moneybagg Yo on a diss track directed at Dolph, titled Don't Beef With Me. However, things took a twist when rumors started circulating about Big Newski's alleged ties to a figure called Straight Drop, aka Justin Johnson, who supposedly had connections to Young Dolph's murder. All this is looking like Big Newski's death is the fault of his affiliation. Honestly, that won't be an outlandish claim to make. What made the situation even more intriguing was the appearance of a white Corvette in both Straight Drop's and Big Newski's photos. Straight Drop, allegedly involved in the murder, was seen posing in front of the car, just like Big Newski. This begs the question, who is the owner of this white Corvette, and could it be the same vehicle present at the scene of Dolph's murder? Now let me lay out the facts for you. Straight Drop has already been apprehended in connection to Young Dolph's murder. At the crime scene, witnesses spotted a white Corvette. Interestingly, both Straight Drop and Big Newski have been seen in front of a car that bears striking similarities to the one found at the murder scene. Adding to this puzzle, Big Newski ends up losing his life. Alarmingly, this comes after Joshua Taylor died, another person who had ties to both Straight Drop and Young Dolph's murder. To be completely honest, one might think that connecting all these dots is a bit of a stretch, but the reality of the streets shows that people have lost their lives over much smaller affiliations. Now, I'm not stating whether Big Newski is guilty or innocent. I simply can't provide a definitive answer. Nonetheless, the streets often operate based on emotions and gut instincts. If people believe you're associated with someone who has committed a crime against their enemies or eliminated someone, you might find yourself on their hit list. That's just the way it goes. Now, let me share some photos that shed light on the car car and these rappers. In this picture, we see Big Newski seated in the car, and in this other photo, we find Straight Drop standing proudly in front of it. Ultimately, Big Newski's tragic passing adds yet another layer of intricacy to this unfolding story. His connections to CMG, Straight Drop, and the White Corvette intertwine to create a complex web of associations and suspicions. Only as the investigation progresses will we come closer to uncovering the truth and understanding the complex dynamics of a world where appearances often eclipse reality. Given the evidence, these deaths may hint at the grim prospect of revenge killings. This grim prospect of revenge killing doesn't just stop here. Nope, it even affects Hernandez Govan, the alleged mastermind behind the attack on young Dolph. However, nothing happens to him. I can't say the same for his daughter, Lotta Cash Desto. On the 24th of September, Houston police officers made a horrifying discovery. They found Govan, identified as Hernandez Govan's daughter, lifeless in the driver's seat of the vehicle she had been driving. Alongside her, they discovered another female victim who had sustained a gunshot wound. Promptly, the injured woman was rushed to a nearby hospital for medical care. It is crucial to note that Hernandez Govan, already indicted in November 2022 for the murder of Memphis rapper Young Dolph, was the father of the deceased, Lotta Cash Desto, affectionately known as Destiny. The connection between the untimely deaths of Young Dolph and Destiny remains unknown. However, following Destiny's passing, her father took to Facebook to express his remorse and apologize to her, acknowledging that his lifestyle might have inadvertently affected her. His connection to Young Dolph may have been why his daughter died. The legal situation surrounding this case involves two individuals, Jeremiah Smith, age 19, and Christian Isaiah Williams, age 24. Both have been charged with the grave offense of murder in relation to the fateful shooting that transpired on September 24, 2022. The incident, as reported by the police, occurred at approximately 2:40 a.m. in the vicinity of 5500 Richmond Avenue. It is important to mention that Smith is currently detained on a bond amounting to $500,000, signifying the serious nature of the alleged crime. Williams, on the other hand, has a bond set at $150,000. No matter what happened, it's good news that the culprits are being prosecuted. From all I've told you, it's clear that Young Dolph's affiliates don't care about how no charge has not been able to stick to anyone. They're allegedly taking matters into their own hands and even attacked Yo Gotti's mom's restaurant. Okay, so let me take you on a storytelling journey to Memphis, Tennessee, where this attack happened. It was a Wednesday evening when a shooting occurred at Privé, a soul food restaurant that Yo Gotti had purchased for his mother, Geraldine, who also served as the manager and chef of the establishment. As the clock struck closing time, chaos erupted. The police swiftly arrived at the scene to find two male victims, one tragically losing his life. The other victim was rushed to a nearby hospital but succumbed to his injuries shortly after. Reports indicated that 5 additional individuals, 4 males aged 37, 35, 31, and 30, and 1 female aged 25, were also injured in the shooting. These wounded individuals were driven to hospitals in privately owned vehicles. The police revealed that the violence stemmed from a disagreement that transpired inside the restaurant. At the time of this, there had been no public response from Yo Gotti on his social media platforms. Billboard reached out to his spokesperson for a comment, but has not received a response at the moment. Additionally, the Memphis Police Department had not provided any information regarding arrests made in connection with the incident. W-Reg, a local station, managed to speak with Arthur Horn, the lawyer representing the restaurant's owners. Horn conveyed the deep sadness and devastation felt by the owners following the shooting. He contradicted the police's assertion, stating that the altercation actually occurred outside the restaurant. In truth, it happened in the parking lot, escalating into a shootout, Horn clarified. The violence never spilled into the interior of the restaurant. Despite any conflicting reports, the incident took place as they were closing for the evening in the parking lot. But we've heard what happened to people connected to the murder of Young Dolph, so this may not be a coincidence. What do you think? Now, it's obvious that the law may not exactly know the culprits of Dolph's murder. They can only arrest, then prosecute, and hope the law takes control. However, the streets aren't waiting. They're judge, jury, and executioner. That's why even Yo Gotti is feeling the heat. To further understand how deep Dolph and Yo Gotti's connection goes, let me give you a brief rundown of the history and beef between them so you can understand why they did it. Young Dolph was not only recognized for his raw and honest lyrics that chronicled his brushes with mortality, but also for his sense of humor and genuine care for his friends and fans. This man understood that individuals are multifaceted and their worth cannot be determined solely by their actions or public conflict. Embracing his own complexity, he hoped to inspire his listeners to do the same. Despite his remarkable achievements, Dolph remained approachable and relatable. Through his music, he offered a genuine glimpse into the Southern Black experience. His down-to-earth nature made his music resonate deeply with his audience. audience. Yet, Dolph's influence extended beyond his own success in the music industry. He actively nurtured and guided young artists, helping them navigate the often confusing terrain of the music business. Rather than signing with a major record label, Dolph chose to release his music independently through his record label. He took pride in achieving national fame on his own terms and encouraged other rappers to follow suit. Dolph brought together a team of talented producers and artists to create music. Among their collaborations was Dolph's final project, Paper Route Illuminati, which he released before his untimely passing. In one of the songs on this album, Dolph expressed his desire to uplift those around him, stating, "I put ice on everybody around me just to see them shining." He not only adorned himself with material wealth, but also allowed the artist signed to his Paper Route Empire label to shine on many of the 23 tracks. At the age of 36, young Dolph had achieved artistic success and effectively managed his businesses. He was a dedicated father, passionate about giving back to his community. Every year, he organized a meaningful event in Memphis where he distributed turkeys and donated money to families in need. This demonstrated his resilience in the face of past difficulties, having grown up in poverty while confronting the challenges of his parents' substance addiction. To honor his legacy, former Senator Katrina Robinson and Representative Tory C. Harris introduced a bill in February 2022. This bill designated November 17th as the Adolph Thornton Day of Service, the day Dolph tragically passed away. The legislation recognized Dolph's philanthropic endeavors and his unwavering commitment to improving the lives of others. The primary objective of this designated day is to celebrate Dolph's music, his dedication to community service, and to encourage the people of Tennessee to support one another. But alas, the rap world is full of beef, and Dolph found himself in the middle. This was the case between Paper Route Empire, PRE, Trella Mafia, Collective Music Group, CMG, and the late Young Dolph. Brace yourself for the story that unfolds. Yo Gotti made a name for himself in the music industry with hits like Down in the DM and I Know. But Yo Gotti didn't settle for just crafting catchy tunes. He established his very own record label, CMG, nurturing fellow Memphis talents like Black Youngstar and Snooty Wild. While Yo Gotti enjoyed success in his music career, another rapper named Young Dolph emerged on the scene. Hailing originally from Chicago but raised in Memphis, Dolph also founded his record label called Paper Route Empire. Dolph garnered attention for his projects like High Class Street Music and collaborations with artists like Pee Wee Longway and Gucci Mane. His 2014 release, High Class Street Music, led him to an appearance on Sway in the Morning, where he discussed his decision not to sign a record deal with Yo Gotti. Dolph explained during an interview that although many people approached him with various offers and deals, he chose to invest in himself. He was determined to bet on his talent and not rely on joining someone else's team. This decision might have caused some tension with Yo Gotti, as Dolph mentioned that Gotti could have been upset about his choice. However, Gotti's position on the matter was never confirmed. The tension between Yo Gotti and Young Dolph became more apparent in February 2016. Dolph took to Twitter to voice his concerns, suggesting that Gotti did not support his success. He hinted that Gotti had shifted from wanting to sign him to becoming his greatest critic. In a tweet, Dolph expressed, "Bra went from being my #1 fan and wanting to sign me to being my biggest hater." Although he didn't explicitly mention Gotti by name, it was pretty clear whom he was referring to. This tweet marked a turning point, igniting a chain of events that intensified the conflict. In a surprising move, Young Dolph announced that his upcoming album would be King of Memphis. Now here's where things get even more interesting. Yo Gotti has long referred to himself as the King of Memphis. Dolph's album title seemingly posed a challenge to Gotti's claim. While Gotti remained silent about Dolph's album title in public, the Memphis hip-hop scene and the wider rap community interpreted it as a deliberate provocation. They saw it as Young Dolph's audacious attempt to claim Gotti's throne as the top rapper in Memphis. The stakes were high and tensions continued to escalate. The drama reached a boiling point surrounding the release of their respective albums. Dolph felt aggrieved as Yo Gotti's mixtapes and album seemed to overshadow his own release, King of Memphis. Initially, Yo Gotti chose to remain silent, refusing to engage in beef with Young Dolph. However, it seemed that Yo Gotti had reached a tipping point. On February 11th, 2017, he unleashed a diss track titled Don't Beef With Me, featuring CMG artist Moneybagg Yo and Black Youngstar. The track served as a warning shot rather than a direct attack, strategically playing the subliminal game. In response, Young Dolph released a music video for Play With Yo, featuring a lookalike for Yo Gotti as a means of mocking him. This move may have struck a nerve because the very next day, news broke that Young Dolph had been targeted in a shooting in Charlotte. Over 100 rounds were fired at Dolph's vehicle, but his bulletproof SUV prevented any harm. Undeterred, Dolph performed his Yo Gotti diss track at a local venue that same night. To be honest, that was kinda hard. After a heated February, Young Dolph seemed ready to move forward. By March 2017, he referred to the beef with Yo Gotti as old news during an interview. Although the shooting incident in Charlotte had occurred, Dolph chose not to dwell on it, indicating a temporary resolution to the feud. Unfortunately, months later, another shooting targeted Young Dolph, this time in Hollywood. He was shot near the intersection of Hollywood and Highland outside Shoe Palace. Reports indicated that both Yo Gotti and Young Dolph were present at the Lowe's Hotel when the altercation took place. A heated argument between their entourages spiraled into a violent fistfight and tragically resulted in gunfire, leaving Dolph wounded. Amidst this chaos, Yo Gotti faced scrutiny, with initial reports suggesting he was a potential suspect in the shooting. However, these reports later proved to be unfounded. The LAPD clarified that Yo Gotti was not a suspect in the case. During Young Dolph's recovery, a significant breakthrough was made in the investigation. Corey McClendon, a member of Yo Gotti's entourage, was charged with attempted murder and promptly arrested. Meanwhile, the LAPD continued their search for 2 additional individuals connected to the fight with Dolph. In an unexpected turn, Corey McClendon was eventually released without charges. The investigation into Young Dolph's shooting remained unresolved, with no further arrests by law enforcement at that time. But then, tragedy struck. Young Dolph's life was tragically cut short, shocking the community and searching for answers. While many eyes turned towards Yo Gotti, fueled by speculations of the whole King of Memphis drama and rumors involving Young Dolph's past attacks, the police had not made any official statements regarding his involvement. The focus once again centered on the intricate dynamics of the Trilla Mafia, igniting a web of speculation and questions surrounding Dolph's untimely death. Okay, now let's go a bit deeper into the whole Trilla Mafia CMG Paper Route Empire drama. It appears that Young Dolph and Yo Gotti found themselves on opposite sides of the fence. You see, Dolph had a bone to pick with Gotti, while the Trilla Mafia had their issues with Dolph and his entire Paper Route Empire. It seems like the proverbial enemy of your enemy situation. In fact, there is visual evidence, including footage and images, that shows the Trilla Mafia's connection to Yo Gotti and his label, CMG, such as the picture of Hernandez Govin and Yo Gotti's own brother. Remember Hernandez Govin? He is one of the 5 individuals currently on trial for Dolph's murder. I've already mentioned that Grove Hero alleged that Big Jook offered a hefty sum of $40,000 as a bounty on Young Dolph's life. Following these revelations, news broke that the police had taken Big Jook in for questioning. Details surrounding the encounter remained murky. Meanwhile, online communities started attributing blame to Gotti, Jook, and CMG for Dolph's tragic demise. Blogger Vada Fly captured the sentiments echoing across many platforms with a tweet that stirred up quite a buzz. The tweet read, "Yo Gotti's brother being seen in a picture with the dude who got arrested for putting together Young Dolph's murder shows how much they hated him. It took a team to plot, plan, and strategize on how to take Flipper out. Them boys was sick Dolph was blowing up." Though Yo Gotti's level of involvement remains uncertain, the rumors and theories surrounding his potential connection to Dolph's death refuse to fade. However, there's more to the rumors of why Trilla Mafia and Yo Gotti aren't cool with Paper Route Empire and, by extension, Young Dolph. I'll start by talking about J Money Trilla. J Money had collaborated with Young Dolph on a track titled Take My Life. Sadly, tragedy struck in 2016 when J Money and his brother D Money were both killed. It was rumored that the culprit behind D Money's death was a rapper named Uncle Danny, who Young Dolph later signed to his label. Following J Money's death, an illuminating exchange took place between a user and J Money's mother. The conversation hinted at possible motivations. The user remarked J Money would have had these streets crying about Dolph. In response, J Money's mother stated, he sure didn't cry about him or D Money. He signed D Money's killer." The user expressed their surprise, saying, "Damn," to which she replied, "Yelp the Uncle Danny that he just signed." While there was no other evidence to suggest that Young Dolph disrespected Trilla Mafia or intentionally stirred up any conflict, signing Uncle Danny may have triggered unforeseen consequences, whether or not he was aware of the implications of his actions. Someone was clearly pissed enough to attack him. This case is a complex web of betrayals, affiliations, and revenge. There's a lot of speculation about what pushed the Trilla Mafia to the edge. The truth is, no one can truly know except the actual culprits. We can only use what we hear on the streets and hope justice will be served. Thanks for watching this video. Click on the videos you see on your screen for more content.